here we are. This is Sex Love Psychedelics, and I'm your host, Dr. Kat, bringing you psychosexual conversations that will leave you intellectually turned on and hungry for more.
And what does that look like for working with the two of you? Because I know that, and your team, because I know many people go into ceremonies and they just go for the ceremony itself. They go to experience the medicine. And I know that that's how I started. I went to a ceremony, had the experience, and then I went back on the other side, back into my everyday life, which I wish that I had had more support. I fortunately had a therapist. Unfortunately, my therapist was not familiar with psychedelics and they had their own bias. However, there was an element of being able to talk about some of the symbolism that came up for me, because otherwise I wouldn't quite know what to do with all that information. It's a lot of information that you get hit with at the same time. So can you elaborate on the importance of the process that you take people through?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So, 12% of America uses a psychedelic every year. That's a crazy number. And before I used a psychedelic, ayahuasca, in a intentional setting, I had already been through Burning Man 8 years and done psychedelics 100+ times. So I went in with a chip on my shoulder thinking, okay, what could this teach me? And as I'm sure that in your story, in your reflection, you experienced doing it in an intentional setting, going inwards with that sacrament, is so much more powerful of an experience, right?
Yeah.
But and I think Chuchu and I we both shared this. For years, we did this just with the medicine, just with the psychedelic. And then we discovered that we were spiritually bypassing, right?
Yeah, I actually I went to the ayahuasca retreat that I was working with, every 3 months, and my life is getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
Because I was feeling like depressed a lot of times. It feels like my life just hit by the train and I don't know how to bring it back on track. Like I have some knowing from my medicine ceremony, but then my life structure doesn't really support me to integrate those change. And I generate more guilt and more blame to myself for not living my truth and getting into like the patterns of my avoiding stuff. And it was like a downward spiral. And I think through finding actually internal family system that I was able to like bring myself back to the ground, and then realizing, wow, this work needs so much preparation to prepare us to have the outer safety, which is the setting, and also our an inner safety, like to in order like to have all the safety, then we can really go deep and without shoot to the cosmos and have alien do surgery on us, all those like you know and we can actually have a potent journey that is really related to ourselves, that actually can bring us closer to whatever we call divine or truths. And then after the process, the journey, we will have breakthrough there this way or that way, but the integration is so important. And when we look at the traditional ceremony, like a lot of people like to let me go to the source, go to the jungle, but the difference is they are born in that environment. They have living in that tradition for like so many generations. That is their lifestyle. They don't need to prepare, they don't need to integrate. That's just how they live their life. But
They don't come home to Zoom calls.
but for us, our modern life, our society, our value, how our environment, environment is what we have, and that supports what we do, our commitment, and supports how we be, like our values. It's completely different. So we really need the bridge of preparation and the focus on integration. I often tell all my participants the integration is more important and harder work than coming to the ceremony.
Yeah, I like to use this metaphor of a map, a compass, and a flashlight. Like the psychedelic experience can shine a flashlight on what's possible.
Yeah,
we're often able to experience levels of catharsis, of spiritual connection, of depth, of knowing ourselves that we've never experienced before, right? And that possibility is really eye-opening because like, wow, I can experience that. Now I have something to aim towards.
Yeah.
The feeling in our bodies, like the feeling of openness, the feeling of warmth, the feeling of expansion, this is the compass, right? We can orient ourselves to that feeling of great joy, of great peace, of great harmony within. But psychology and psychotherapy provides a map. It provides us a map that says, hey, if you are feeling this thing, here are some tools of inquiry so that you can maybe go and discover what's underneath that thing, right? So you can get to enlightenment with just a flashlight or just a compass or just a map, but it's so much more effective and so much less suffering to have all three.
Well, that was fun. Thanks for tuning in, lovers. And if you want to experience more ecstasy and sexual liberation, head over to sexlovepsychedelics.com and learn about how you can join me for any one of my online or live events. And while you're there, grab my free guide on sex and psychedelics. Remember, this podcast is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Please contact your healthcare provider and local law before pursuing any of the products or psychedelics discussed. And one final note here. I make this show specifically for you. If you're loving the show, then be sure to leave me a review in iTunes or Spotify to let me know. Happy to be here and happy to serve. I'll see you next time on Sex Love Psychedelics.